If you've ever looked at a snowy landscape and thought, I could never paint that, this lesson is for you. In the next few minutes, I'll guide you step by step through a winter scene that's perfect for beginners. No stress, no pressure. Just simple techniques that create stunning results. Let's paint some snow. When preparing to do wet in wet washes, it's always a good idea to mix all the colors you're going to need in advance. That way, you won't be partway through, say, a sky, and then suddenly realizing you need another color, taking time to mix it, and then the sky dries on you and you get all sorts of problems. Another good tip is you can sometimes just use a clear wash of water over the sky area. This will give you more time to lay down your colors, and it will slightly soften the colors as well. Because in this instance, we do not need a dramatic sky. We need it quite soft, quite mellow and fused. So I've laid down some water with my large brush. You can use something like a number 12. And then because it's a sky that's not competing, it's quite simple, fused into the water, as I explained. And do have some tissue to hand so that you can dry off any excess pigment or water, so you maintain control. As always, when you lay down these wet and wet washes, they dry much lighter. And do remember to mop up the edges. You can use a thirsty brush to do that, or you can use the tissue and then dry off with a hairdryer. And as you see, it's much lighter. And it's a sky that's not competing with the landscape. It's quite fused, mellow. We do have captions to show you the mix of colors that I'm preparing in the pans to the right hand side. So what we're going to do next is lay down some clear water again. See that top well I'm using just for clear water rather than going off screen all the time to dip into a jar of water. And the reason why I'm laying down water at this stage is that we got some tree lines in the distance, which I'm going to lay in now. And at the bottom of those tree lines, I want them to fuse in gently, softly into the middle ground so that there is not a harsh edge. And because this is early snow, we have some color of the fall leaves in this landscape. And it's been a fairly light dusting of snow at this stage, early snow. So we still have the color on the trees and quite a good number of leaves on those trees. And that is just gently fusing into the water that I laid down before. That is very much an underpainting. And that is something that I would recommend to you in your journey for transparent watercolor painting, that make good use of underpaintings. They give you a ground upon which you can then lay deeper, darker colors as you progress from light to dark. Now I'm just strengthening up some of those distant tree lines. Not tremendous detail, as you can see, quite quick brushwork. Resorted to a smaller brush, something like a number 4 for that detail. Now you can see me mixing up a darker color, which I'll use for various tree trunks and branches and so forth. Here you can see why it's a good idea to have an underpainting of a certain color, because we can lay those tree trunks and branches over that underpainted area. Then later on, we'll be adding our darker colors for the foliage. So because it's a light dusting of snow, we're not trying to create a snow situation on the leaves. Been quite light. Any that fell in that area has just melted away, just leaving the snow in the foreground. And for the English style of transparent watercolor, we use the white of the paper for our whites. So the snow primarily will be the white of the paper, with various shadows and little undulations that we're painting with blues and greys later to give more life to it. And we'll have a little pathway as well leading up to the cabin. So here we're darkening the tree line area, the full colors. So we have a variation from light to dark. And you can see I'm not being fussy with this. I'm using the side of the brush scraping technique to indicate that foliage. And you can see that I can dip into certain colors already mixed in the pans to achieve darker areas as wished. We're getting quite close to halfway through this tutorial. So still giving attention to that full tree area, giving a nice contrast, lights and darks, some of the orange color jumping out. At this stage, you can do more shaping. And at the base, where the trunks meet the ground, you can ground them by laying down some bushes of the same color, the full colors. And that adds extra interest. And as I say, it grounds them and anchors them to the ground. And I would mention as well that I do use a dedicated brush for my mixing of colors. This is a good discipline. It means that once you dip into one color, you then clean off that mixing brush in your jar of water to prevent cross-contamination between your different colors in your palette. Obviously, accidents will happen from time to time, and you do actually forget to do it, but it's a good discipline if you can do that. And you won't have an accident whereby you say you want yellow, and you dip into that and you find out you've got green, etc. It also preserves your brushes, the longevity of your brushes, because they're not constantly digging in to paints. They're kept merely for the job that they should be doing, which is painting, not digging into paints. For that chimney stack, we've got a lighter colour, some yellow ochre with some Windsor yellow going on there, because that gives a nice contrast with the facade of the little cabin. And we've got some light shining from the windows, which is a good little touch. And later on, you'll see that we have some light reflection on the ground. Now for the little pathway, I'm laying down some clear water in what will be some puddles that have collected in the ruts, and then some of your blue, just to give a nice little variation and interest and contrast. We're well over halfway now. Also on the edge of the little pathway, a little track, we put some darker color where the snow abuts the pathway. And of course, there's been a light covering of snow on the path itself. And as you can see, this is where we are using the white of the paper. So for all your snow scenes, you can employ this method. And it's much more convincing and easy on the eye to use the white of the paper rather than use, say, a Chinese white, acrylic, gouache, etc. for your whites, because they do jump off the page. There are some exceptions where you could use them maybe because you do want more definition. So for instance, if I was doing a painting of wildlife with a couple of egrets flying across, then I could use the white gouache, etc. on that occasion, because I do want them to be prominent and to be more defined. But certainly not for snow in general. If you was doing a skier and snow was kicking up, then by all means you could use some of the white of paper, but also you could dabble in a few little flecks of the gouache, etc., acrylic, to achieve some of that spray of snow. Just show a few little clumps of dead grasses peeking through the snow as extra interest, but not too much. And we got a little bit of shadow at the base of the cabin. And then, as I mentioned, we got a little bit of that yellow reflection from the lights of the cabin onto the snow. Gives a nice little touch. Because those fall trees have sufficiently dried now, I'm laying on some even darker colour for the foliage. And do have some tissue to hand throughout all stages, really, of your painting, so that you can either dab if necessary, if you've got too much pigment in an area, or you can take some off the brush. You can strengthen um, the value of the various trunks and branches with your dark color and also at the base of the trees. I'm also strengthening the various ridges in the snow. And once I've laid down the color, I then fuse that at the bottom of each ridge with some clear water. So we've got a nice transition from the darker to the lighter. Also strengthen up the sides of the pathway. So we've got a good demarcation. And for the smoke coming from the chimney, you can use a flat brush that is stronger, maybe one that you would normally use for acrylic or oils. because it's more like a bristle brush. And you can dab on clear water, dig in a little bit because this paper's resilient and it'll allow you to do so, then lift with your tissue. Now very close to the end of this tutorial, laying in a few birds for interest. And as always, I'm choosing an odd number. Here we have the finished painting. I hope you've enjoyed that tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you next time.